Hey Salut Friends, today I'm sharing my impressions of the newest Frederic Malle called Hope. This is the fifth release from the Desert Gems collection created by his most frequent collaborator Dominique Ropion. This is his third Desert Gem and overall 10th fragrance with Malle, and I do think this was made with Malle, who, in case you are not aware, stepped down from his eponymous brand at the end of June. He was actively promoting the last release of Acne Studios, but for this, at least so far, he has not been seen in any promotions or even had his name directly mentioned. No one else has been named as his successor at the moment. There was no sort of send-off celebration with a fragrance or an event or something, at least gradually stepping down for the 25th anniversary of the brand next year, but instead, seems like Estee Lauder is going to play the silent game, which only adds to further speculation on the circumstances of his departure. Coming back to Hope, it was exclusive to Harrods for a couple of months, and now in September, slowly being rolled out globally. Without Malle, they had to drag poor Ropion to London for the launch. It joins the night, dawn, promise, and the moon within the Desert Gems collection. I am a fan of the fragrances from this collection. I like the way they bridge the gap between the Middle Eastern and the Western French style of perfumery, even using real oud in some of them. Obviously, the pricing is outrageous. I got them highly discounted, and I also tend to enjoy Western oud fragrances, of which this collection has probably the best I have come across. Of course, pure oud oils and attars are their own domain. The Moon by Julien Rasquinet happens to be my favorite in this collection. Now coming to this one, Hope, I was not very hopeful, to be frank. On top of the circumstances in which this is coming out, plus the mixed reception it has been receiving, made me temper my expectations, which might have been a good thing in hindsight. When I first sprayed this, I almost said to myself, that's from the Desert Gems collection, alright, because it is very much in that dry, smoky, woody, ambery, dusty signature of the Desert Gems, made with IFF materials, where all three perfumers are employed as well. So if you are already not a fan of this collection, this is probably not going to change your mind. There is a small expression of fruity freshness with some juniper and vetiver in the opening. After that, I get the oud, and it feels different from the oud in the others from the collection. It is sweeter, smoother, lightly tobacco, shisha-like, apparently from Thailand. Also, from my initial impression, this does not seem like the oud scent itself will carry through till the end. So if you're expecting that, just be aware. Some floral jasmine-like facets too. And though it is not listed, I'm convinced there is some rose in this. Some beautiful incense comes in as well. There is smokiness, but it is like this gentle plume, slow burning smoke rather than a big, birchy, ashy fire. As reported by others who have smelled it, it does have similarities to Promise. Promise is this bombastic, fermented, sour, borderline boozy cypriol bomb with some rose and patchouli. I generally like it, but the way the cypriol and castoreum with the dry, woody ambers keeps pushing and droning after 4 hours into the dry down is not my favorite part of the scent, and hence it is probably my least favorite Desert Gem. I think in some ways Hope improves on Promise. It is not as loud and dry and intrusive, does not have those fermented apple facets or castoreum either. Maybe there is cypriol oil here too, but it's toned down. It is also overall sort of smoother and streamlined without the abrasive facets. Promise also did not have real oud, though that impression is created with whatever synthetics and musks they used. This one has, and it does make a difference to me in the way it smells. Further in the dry down, the oud becomes a secondary player, which is a drawback when you're expecting a full-on oud scent. The frankincense, which is probably the best part of this fragrance, carries on, landing in a woody, ambery, dry base. They list cypress, which I don't get prominently. I thought it was going to be some pine tar, green, eucalyptus, pastoral, Christmas tree burning in a fire kind of smell, as that would have been a new addition to this line. Also happens to be the favorite olfactory memory of Frederic Malle. But instead, this goes in the straightforward, predictable, smoky woods direction, which I was led down by. Finally, it settles down on this woody, earthy, tarry, leathery vetiver and amber. If you have smelled Fumeris from Parfums Roma or Acidon Diplomatique from Joy, this is kind of handled in a similar fashion. The concept and construction does try to differentiate it from the others in the line. At the core, there is this gentleness and tranquility that I like, a solitary flame in a seemingly desolate, harsh environment kind of image. Like I said, it is not as bombastic as the other big desert gems. If anything, the wearing experience is more along the lines of Dawn by Carlos Binaim. Overall, it is not outstanding, probably not going to be a standout release from Malle. There is also a possible redundancy with the scent profile. I think it is alright, well made. Dominique Ropion has done a fine job. It just barely touches the standard that Malle and this collection have set for themselves. I do prefer it over Promise, but it is not as majestic and opulent as the Night, or as contemplative as Dawn, or as romantically festive as the Moon. I would be open to it if it was the same price as Promise, but the retail price on this is just ridiculous. I do hope to test it and probably get a decant of 10 ml or a bottle possibly, which I can probably find for the same price of Promise after a few months down the line, with it being probably the last release under Malle and everything. I will be doing a full review at some point, and I will share whether I think it is a good end to Frederic Malle under Frederic Malle with a new hope. Either way, that's been my impressions of Hope from Frederic Malle. Thanks for watching, take care and ciao.